What is going on, guys? Archangel here with another video for you guys. I want to talk about Borderlands and whether or not Borderlands 3 is going to be a very overhyped game. And when I say overhyped, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but we all know how hype gets when it comes to the game. We get ourselves amped up, we get ourselves thinking so it's going to be amazing. And then more often than not in these last few years, the games that we overhype tend to fall on their place. Look at Destiny 2, Anthem, Division. A lot of the games that we get super amped about ends up falling on its face. And for the most part, people think, well, when it comes to Borderlands, that it's going to be a guaranteed success of a game. And the first thing you have to when it comes to Borderlands, you have to be into Borderlands. Like, Borderlands isn't a game that everyone's going to be into, even though a lot of people are going to buy it thinking it's going to be this amazing game, this amazing experience, because a lot of people didn't play the previous Borderlands games. Borderlands was never a top-selling game. It was never in the top 5 for a best-selling game when it comes to any of the Borderlands games. For me personally, I've played Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, and I've played Tales from Borderlands. I've played a lot of Borderlands. I have 2 characters in Borderlands 2, I have 2 characters in pre-sequel. So when it comes to me, I think I can give a good enough opinion on Borderlands to just to talk about whether or not 3 should be viewed as a game of the year contender. Because when it comes to hype, anytime something gets hyped up to this level, the thought comes in of this could be game of the year. This might be game of the year. It's going to be in contention for game of the year. And I've never thought of Borderlands, any of the Borderlands games, as a game of the year contender. I've never Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, the pre-sequel, Tales from Borderlands. They're all good games, but I don't think any of them was the best game the year they came out. And going back to what I said about Borderlands being basically an acquired taste, you have to be into a shell-shaded game graphically. Now, a lot of people aren't into games that look the way Borderlands look, the cartoony shell-shaded look. My brother does not play these kind of games. He doesn't play games that are cell shaded. He doesn't play games that look cartoony. He can't get into it. And even when it comes to the story of Borderlands games, Borderlands tells a decent enough story, but it's not great. You're not playing an Elder Scrolls game. You're not playing a Mass Effect or Dragon Age. You're not playing a game with an amazing story. You're playing a game with a good story. It's just between an Oscar-winning story and just a good story. That's what the difference between Borderlands and other RPGs. And I had the conversation before with one of my friends that Borderlands, no matter how good it is or isn't, is not one of those top tier RPGs. In the sense that it's like, again, it's not an Elder Scrolls, it's not a Dragon Age, it's not a Mass Effect, it's not in that echelon of being a massive, beautiful open world experience with an amazing story, amazing musical score. I don't think anyone ever sat here and talked about Borderlands' music. It's not worth mentioning. You always mention Skyrim soundtrack or Mass Effect 3 soundtrack. Dragon Age 3, Dragon Age Inquisition has an amazing soundtrack. Borderlands games, their music is kind of irrelevant. So what is it when it comes to Borderlands that makes it as popular as it has become? I think it's more so that it's not a serious game. People like playing a game that's casual, that's fun, that's you don't have to take it serious. And it's like a parody of an RPG in that sense. You're playing a shooter that's also an RPG. So that's one thing that draws people in. You're drawing people in because you're playing a shooter for the most part, but it's also an RPG. But again, I go back to the flaws of Borderlands. And Borderlands, again, I enjoy Borderlands. Before anyone goes and you sound like you just hate Borderlands, I like Borderlands. I've put in a lot of time into each of the Borderlands games. When they announced Borderlands 3, I went back to Borderlands 2, made another character. And pre-sequel, I made another character for that too. And I told my friends, y'all want to play Borderlands? Go ahead and buy it, and I will literally come play it with you guys, even though I've already beaten the games. I enjoy Borderlands, but the game is not perfect. And when it comes to the map design for Borderlands is very mediocre. When it comes to the actual in-game map, it's terrible. It's one of the worst in-game maps I've seen in a video game. When it comes to the characters for the most part are all very good. They're all pretty entertaining. They're all hilarious, and that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a comedic experience when it comes to this game. When it comes to Tiny Tina and Brick and Handsome Jack and so on and so on, it's meant to be a comedic experience in an RPG. So when it comes to the hype, does it deserve the hype? Yes. Will the hype go bad? I think it's possible because again, you're going to have people who are going to buy Overwatch. No, you're going to have people who are going to buy Borderlands who didn't play any of the previous games, and there's a good chance, a good chunk of those people who buy Borderlands 3 who never played Borderlands 4 will hate that game. Just realism. When it comes to, like, it happened with Dark Souls 3. A lot of people who played Dark Souls 3 didn't play the other Dark Souls games, and a good chunk of them didn't like the Dark Souls 3 game. A good chunk of them fell in love with it and started playing Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne and even got into Sekiro. But a chunk of those people who bought Dark Souls 3 didn't like that game because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And it happens with all games. All games that get hyped up, people buy it thinking it's one thing, and it doesn't end up being what they thought it would be. It doesn't end up being what they wanted it to be. Borderlands is another one of those games where it's better with friends. In any kind of game that's better with friends, and I mean that as in it's 4-player co-op, and the game is meant for you to be played in 4-player co-op. So you're gonna have a hard time playing Borderlands if you're playing solo. This is just like when it comes to Division, just when it comes to like Destiny. These are not games you want to solo. You can solo them. I soloed my Maya playthrough in Borderlands 2. You're seeing that gameplay now, actually, me soloing with Maya. So it's doable, at least on the regular normal setting. Maybe not True Vault Hunter mode, but for the most part, you're gonna come across a lot of moments in all the Borderlands games, other than Tales from Borderlands, where you're gonna notice this game is meant to be played with other people, not by yourself. And if you're not into games where enemies are bullet sponges, you're not going to enjoy Borderlands, because Borderlands is a game where enemies are bullet sponges. You will put an entire clip into one target who's not even a boss, just a random enemy who will literally take up all of your bullets, just like the Division. And people hated that about the Division, that you will literally just shoot everything, every bullet you got in all your guns, and the person you're shooting at will still be alive. Same thing happens in Borderlands. So that's going to be something else that turns people off. But it's still a good franchise, still a good game. I still expect Borderlands 3 to be a good game, and I hope that it succeeds. I hope it does great. I hope it does well. I hope it makes enough money to where we get ourselves like, all right, we should stay with this world. So going into that world, going into what the expectations are, and what I want to know when it comes to Borderlands 3 is Fiona, because I haven't seen Fiona. I haven't looked at, other than seeing the trailer, I haven't seen anything or heard anything when it comes to Fiona, which is a Tales Borderlands character. And my thought process is she even in Borderlands 3? And should she be? Reese is in Borderlands 3. Reese was one of the main protagonists next to Fiona in Tales Borderlands, which to me is the most underrated video game when it comes to the episodic video games. Tales from Borderlands is an amazing experience. It's probably the best story experience from a storytelling standpoint in the Borderlands universe. And to me, Fiona was a great character, just as Reese is a good character. But let's be honest, Reese is going to be in Borderlands 3 to be Handsome Jack. They already confirmed that he's going to be a villain, so I think he's going to become the next Handsome Jack. And I don't want to spoil anything when it comes to Tales of Borderlands in case you play it. So if you play Tales of Borderlands, you will understand why I made that statement. But Fiona, I want her to be in the next game, and I hope she's in the next game, because again, if you're going to bring in Tales of Borderlands characters, you might as well go with all the, at least the main characters from that game in Borderlands 3, not just Reese. So with that all said, I do want to end this video on a positive note. Again, I don't want people to think that I'm making this to trash Borderlands, to talk crap about Borderlands, to say Borderlands 3 is going to be a bad game, because I don't think any of those things. I don't think Borderlands is bad. I enjoy Borderlands a lot, and I have high hopes for 3. The point is, is it going to be an overhyped game? And it doesn't matter how good a game is, it can still be overhyped. A game can come out and be great and still be overhyped. Red Dead, great game, overhyped. You know, that's just how it is. Spider-Man, great game, overhyped. Even both Division games were hyped up a lot, and they're not bad games. Neither of them are bad games, but they're overhyped. And it doesn't matter how good the game is. If you can't match the level of hype that you got throughout, the months before your release, you're overhyped. And Borderlands 3 could end up being another victim of being an overhyped game. And when you get to that level of being overhyped, when it comes to how gaming is in 2019, people might just start hating on Borderlands just because it's popular, because it's overhyped. People love to be a contrarian. People love to be negative. It's not cool to be positive. So people will literally just start hating on this game, this franchise, just because it becomes hyped. And I don't want to see that. I don't want Borderlands to be a victim of being too hyped up. But anyways, guys, it's a video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Leave any thoughts you have in the comments below. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.